Hey guys, one of the main reasons Alien Covenant didn't do as well as people thought is because people don't have any idea what's going on. Basically, there's this whole backstory to the entire Alien series that people just don't, they don't care about because they're moviegoers, they're not, dorks like the rest of us. So a lot of people just don't understand not only the literal happenings of what's going on, but the symbolic references to that. Because if you don't know one, you can't even know the other. So basically, by the way, this video is going to have spoilers. Alien Covenant is the sequel to Prometheus, which is another prequel to Alien. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it and watch this video some other time. But if you want spoilers, here they are. At the end of Prometheus, Elizabeth Shaw and the android David are the only survivors. They go to LV-223, which is actually symbolic of Leviticus 223, which talks about touching something that's unclean and then it cursing you, basically. So there's a lot of biblical symbolism throughout all of the films. As you can see in this one guy's channel, Kroft Talks About Movies, he goes into very deep symbology. It's really interesting. But anyway, if you notice in the opening scene of Prometheus, the engineer is drinking the black goo, and basically he's creating humanity. The god's creating something, having a creation. And in the beginning of Alien Covenant, it's Wayland creating David, the first artificial intelligence. So those two opening prologues are actually parallel to each other. And we all know that David thinks he is a god, and that he believes he is superior to his creations. So in that sense, I believe he also thinks he's superior to the engineers as well. But anyway, let's see. The whole symbolism of Prometheus was that he gave man fire and then was cast out because the gods were pissed that Prometheus gave man power, which is fire. And that's basically what David does. He takes the god's creation, the black goo, and makes his own creations. And actually the biggest twist at the end of Alien Covenant is that David is the creator of the eggs and the face hugger. He was experimenting with the black goo in the ways that the engineers didn't even figure out or perfect yet, or they were scared of because they knew it was so dangerous. David perfected it, and he's gonna perfect it, because in the deleted scenes of Alien Covenant, it talks about David is talking about his experimentations with Elizabeth and how she rejected him, and so he killed her, and then he killed all the engineers on that one planet to create his own little Eden for them. Or he could have killed them because because the engineer killed Elizabeth Shaw, and the black goo, infested her. So maybe he felt resentment towards that. I mean, there's just so many things. This movie goes deeper than it looks, especially for normal moviegoers. And there's many signs that David is, Lucifer, the devil, the whatever. I mean, in Alien Covenant, he comes shooting that flare gun, and Lucifer, of course, is the light bringer. And if you notice in David's study, when you walk towards the light, they brighten up. So it's all symbolic of David as being the light bringer, the Lucifer, the one who was cast out and rejected. But also what's interesting is that the whole reason David had blonde hair in Prometheus, because obviously he was born with brown hair, as we saw in Alien Covenant, was his admiration of Peter O'Toole in Lawrence of Arabia. Even that line, big things have small beginnings, that's from Lawrence of Arabia as well. And I just think it's interesting that the main human he admires as an actor, his name is Peter O'Toole. So the last name is Toole, and that kind of is the artificial intelligence robot thing going on. Anyway, enough of that. I discovered the Prometheus Comics just recently. Fire and Stone and Life and Death. The whole series, it incorporates aliens, the engineers, and the predators. The predator and the engineer have a big fight, and they have a battle. And then even the predator is infected with the black goo. And the predator goes down to LV-223. It's crazy. It's all an extension. It's about 126 years after Prometheus, and when the humans go to LV-223, they notice that since the humans from Prometheus mess with the black goo, and that Juggernaut ship crashed, the whole island is now vegetated and has a bunch of life and like alien monkeys and alien polar bears and all that crazy stuff. But anyway, eventually it comes down to an engineer fighting the Queen Alien at the end, and the Queen Alien kills the engineer. And there's also an AI, a synthetic. You can't even see that, can you? A synthetic also is infected by the black goo. You can't see that at all. And then, of course, the Predator is infected by the black goo. So there's a whole bunch of different, a lot of crazy shit goes down, basically, in the comic books that is a literal extension of the Prometheus and Alien Covenant timelines. Okay, so I really hope Ridley Scott creates Alien Awakening to tie it up to perfectly mesh in with the first Alien, and then they can go into the future and do whatever. But with these comics, these are like 120 years in the future after Prometheus and Alien Covenant and all that stuff, and it's really fascinating. And I don't want to spoil too much of it, but I already did. But the main twist at the end of Alien Covenant is that David wins and gets all the 2,000 colonists from the original Covenant ship, because Daniels and Tennessee go under hypersleep because they thought it was the other android, Walter. And there's a whole other thing about the symbolism of the names of the androids. Like the first android's Ash, the second one was Bishop, third one was, I forget her name, but it's Winona Ryder in Alien Resurrection, so ABC, and then David for this next android in the series. So people are like, why does Walter start with a W? Because they think they're going to go backwards now. So it'll be Walter, and then the next android will start with an X, then the next one will start with a Y, then Z or whatever. But that's just another side note. Who cares? Anyway, the symbolism of this movie is just so deep, and I do believe Ridley Scott got caught up in the action that fans were saying were lacking in Prometheus. I thought there was too much action in Alien Covenant. I just wanted story. If I want to see a bunch of aliens just get shot up, I'll just watch Aliens, the second one. But if you want to continue the lore and the story and what's going on with the neomorphs and the android being the actual creator of the alien species that's going to wipe out the entire human race and not the engineers, I think that stuff's really cool and really fascinating, because it's almost like the creator of man is going to get taken down by man's creation, the android. So there's just a whole bunch of layers. And of course the black goo is in every other movie about the end of the world, the apocalypse, the strain, the zombie infection, the X-Files goo. It's everywhere. But in the Alien Covenant world, it's just the most interesting lore, I think. It's quite fascinating. Y'all have to check out Alien Covenant and of course Prometheus, because those are things you see something new in every single time you watch it. And it's definitely out on iTunes and all that stuff, so hit it up, and y'all have a good one.